Hi, you're watching Kerry Lyons of The Imperfect Life, and I am here to help you create the life that you want whilst also loving the messy adventure of creating it. And I am here today with the epic Lucy Sheridan, the comparison coach. Oh my God, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, it's
Hello.
absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for the invitation, Kerry. I wouldn't have missed it.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, just for anyone watching, we've just had the most hilarious, setup kind of
Oh
10
my
minutes,
gosh.
well, 15, 20 minutes actually just to even just hear each other. Anyway, Imperfect Life, that's what it's all about. Um,
You've got it there. We're living that brand, aren't we?
exactly, embracing it. But yeah, I mean, obviously, loads of people know who you are, but just in case there's a little slither of the population watching this that are like, who is this woman? Like, tell them a little bit about who you are and what you do and all your majesty.
Oh, with pleasure. Thank you for such a kind introduction. So, well, yeah, I'm Lucy Sheridan. I'm Lucy Sheridan, the comparison coach, and I appreciate I have the most niche job title in the world, so it can be a little bit tricky when I go on LinkedIn. There's not an obvious box to tick that equally. Comparison's always been something that has followed me around in life, and when kind of a few sort of life events happen, it would get worse and worse. And even though I was kind of doing something else, I was working in the advertising industry for a long time. I started being interested in self-development about how I could try and heal my comparison because it was getting so heavy, so debilitating. And through this, through great synchronicity, I suppose, but not through intent, it kind of happened almost by accident. I was able to develop these techniques and ways of looking at the world, mindsets, exercises that ultimately I found reduced my comparison. And from there, it's almost like the rest is history. So it wasn't like one day, it wasn't like I was a little girl like writing, I'm going to be a coach one day. Like no one's more surprised than me that I've kind of changed careers in such a radical way. But yeah, it's been 6 years now and I'm not bored of it. I'm still finding new ways to look at comparison, still loving hearing other people's experiences of it too and trying to do my bit to break the taboo as well. But ultimately my work is absolutely focused on helping people increase their self-focus, their self-confidence and self-worth, because once those three kind of, those points, that triangle are in place, comparison doesn't stand a chance, and that's kind of where I want to get to.
Kill comparison.
Yes.
Stake through the heart. Cool. So, in terms of your journey, then, so when you were in the phase of your phone being hot because you're fully dressed underneath a quilt,
Yeah, yeah.
going, oh my God, what do I even do with my life?
Yeah.
What is the kind of the time span, and from there to now, what are we kind of
From
imagining?
there to now, I would say it's probably about 7 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of look at I have this term which I really like, which is comparison free, and it's very much an aim for point for me. I am comparison is my biggest teacher, and I am not a 100% comparison free, and I don't think I ever will be, but I want to aim to be there as much as I possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been, it's definitely been a journey to get here to today. But I kind of feel like comparison can't hurt me anymore, and it used to really influence my decisions or lack of decisions actually, and negatively affected my life. But when I started the business, how I looked at it from when I had the kind of breakdown, kind of sliding down the wall moment and under the duvet, that was really a big wake up call. It was a painful wake up call, but it was a wake up call nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And I really tried to be gentle with myself back then and kind of say, look, if I can think and feel myself into this, can I think and feel myself out of it? And I can't help feeling, because I set myself this puzzle as opposed to there must be a change, there must be a transformation. I didn't really wasn't using those words because it wasn't in my world.
Yeah.
Because it's I'm from the north of England. I've grown up in just a normal dysfunctional family because every family is dysfunctional, and I was really kind of the first one that I know to start even realise what mindset was in a more kind of serious way of study from there. So treating it like a puzzle to try and get clarity on, maybe not even solve, I think has really helped imperfectly allowed the ball to start rolling. And then it was a case following the breadcrumbs from there, ultimately. And so even when it came to doing my life coaching training, that was a very involved process, especially if I was working full time and that sort of thing too. It was only ever a passion project for me. I wanted to understand myself better because my anxious feelings and these the overthinking was just completely out of control back then. But when I did start the business, I ultimately said, like, give it 3 years for the balance to just transition over. So my system, in terms of my energetic system, like what makes me feel good, is the steady eddy. So things like, a coach might say, what are you excited about at the moment? And I might say, absolutely nothing, and I couldn't be happier about it. And what I mean by that is I do really well if my energy is like this. Yeah. It's like bobbing along, which I'm sure would make some people's eyes bleed in boredom. Fair enough. But I can't tolerate big peaks and big troughs. It's like energetically for me, it takes me backwards, takes me to a bad place ultimately. So I was ambitious for the business. I'm very vision led, so I can kind of see where I want to be, but I have no idea about the distance. Is that going to be next week, or is that going to be 10 years down the line? Like, dear diary, I finally made it. I'm kind of okay with that. I think accepting the timing of your life is fundamental to being okay with getting to where you need to be. But when I started the business, I was kind of doing other work too, because like my rent, my landlord didn't give a rat's ass, if I could use a different word, I didn't care where my rent was coming from. He just wanted paying. So I didn't judge how I was feeding myself, didn't judge where my income was coming from. And I did like a bit of reception work. I was doing freelance projects as well, because I used to be, so my old job was brand strategist ultimately. So research, analysis, I was picking up those projects too, all in service of knowing that the comparison coach was my end destination. Yeah. And I wanted to just give that loads of space to breathe as well. So having the breakdown, scrolling moment under the duvet to then hold on, that's taught me something. I'm feeling stronger. I may not be like 100% there, but I'm feeling strong. I feel more myself every day, which felt like great progress even on itself. That was probably a couple of years to then handing my notice in, because there were a few changes in the business I was working on that weren't going to work for me, to then kind of today. It took me about 2-3 years to transition to fully coaching, where I was doing my tax return and all my income was related to my coaching business. And I can't help feeling like I was able to get there because I gave myself this big old window, which wasn't an ultimatum. So again, my energetic system does not like ultimatums, not because I've got a problem with authority, but having a bit of wiggle room has only ever served me. So kind of building that in and understanding where I need more of it too is really key to how I kind of live my life really. But to take us on that full circle moment, my business is at the time we're chatting 6.5 years old, and I still think it's like a young business. Yeah. It's still teaching me things. I'm still I don't know if you've heard of this book that it's loads of my friends have read it a bit, and I've just picked it up too. It's called Company of One, and forgive me because I forget the name of the author. It came out a few weeks ago. And I've read that. I'm about halfway through that. We started it a few days ago. And that's been the sound of 1,000 pennies dropping for me, in that my version of success and keeping going and staying excited and going for the growth I want needs to be based on the growth I want, not what everyone else is doing. And this is the interesting thing. Great. The tendency to compare or to think, everyone does that next. Oh, I should do that next too. And actually, no, it doesn't have to be. Yeah. It doesn't have to be. And knowing that I'm enjoying my work and that it's still teaching me things too, it's whatever changes I make have got to come from me, not from what I think I should be doing ultimately, because this is new territory for a lot of us as well. For example, the wellbeing industry is growing all the time, which is so brilliant because there's so much to go around. And also, it's very new to a lot of people. So I'm finding I'm having to reintroduce even the most essential basic concepts as mind-blowing to something which is really cool. But that excites me because it means that this is always going to be fresh. There's always more people coming in, and that can as well give you a lot of fuel to keep going too, because it's not this. I mean, this market is so far from matured. It's not even funny. Yeah, definitely. Do you know? In fact, have you ever actually been to Hawaii? No, I haven't.
You would fit in like a dream in Hawaii, because their whole ethos is just this. They don't have extremes, highs or lows. They just honour I think it's this. I forgot what it's called. But yeah, you need to live in Hawaii.
I respond really well to that. And of course, a planning, fun and that sort of thing. But there's this great expression: love many, trust few, always paddle your own canoe. And you always regret not paddling your own canoe, don't you? 100%. So it's you can keep the belief going, keep the confidence going if you know what your own rhythm is. And like I know my rhythm now, and I'm not interested in trying to change it for someone else or because the world says I should do it, or like a blog post says I should be a different way. It's like, no, it's not my blog post. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Do you know? And there's so many takeaways in what you just said. I'm trying to like pick some out. One, like the notion that people that may be considering kind of choosing a different path in their kind of like career or how they kind of find their fulfillment, it doesn't need to be like an instant like jump off a cliff.
No,
like I was saying, like 5 years. It was a 5-year process for me to go from kind of leaving a job to transitioning into now doing what I'm doing and kind of like doing whatever I could in the meantime to like pay the bills.
Yeah, and like don't, and we mustn't judge it because it like part of me thinks I'll sometimes have quite a frank conversation with clients, and what makes you think you're going to do this quickly? Like, because all of us are special and none of us are special.
Mm-hmm.
So like if it happens quickly for you, absolutely brilliant, and I hope you can receive it and hold it if you get what you want.
Yeah.
Because it's like a lot of success, whatever the hell that means. I mean, that's a whole other call with like a bottle of wine, isn't it? But if you know, getting it is one thing, keeping it's another. That's the art.
Mm-hmm.
That's the art form. And I've seen, like, I'm sure you're the same, Kate, I've seen a lot of people come and go, actually, in just this amount of time. But, 5 years to grow a business and be established and have this consistently, like, coming in, is like, that's never going to get boring for me. And also, considering, like, please God, I'm on this earth for a really long life. I said, when things were tough, I remember kind of saying to myself, would you wait 5 years if someone could give you exactly what you want? Yes, I would. Okay, well, now we just work for it instead. I'm like, well, yes, I would. So I've got the rest of my life to come.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm 36 next birthday. My friend had this great expression recently. And she was like, your 40s are for your fortune. And I'm like, brilliant.
I love that.
No time to enjoy. There's even more to look forward to. I'm not like I paid my dues, but like if it took me 5 years to ultimately, say like 3 to really get established and then from there to grow, like that's no time at all in the length of your life.
No.
Because it's like I don't see myself, not because I'm a workaholic, but I don't think I'll ever like conventionally retire at 60.
Yeah.
So I can look at this whole other career I can have now if, please God, I'm gifted the time on planet Earth to be here and do it. So I don't think that's a long time. Exactly. To kind of like, like it's a cost of business almost. I think that's a long time to put in. It's not even weight, is it? Because it wasn't like I was sitting around.
I know, exactly, yeah. And I think that process as well of kind of giving it the time to kind of mature and bed in, give you that opportunity to, really realise if it does bring you the fulfilment that you want it to. Yeah, whereas if it is just like thrust upon you and then you're suddenly in the thick of it, it's like, oh, this isn't what I was expecting, and I kind of actually not really into this as much as I thought it would be.
Yeah, completely. So and then if that's the case, you're allowed to change your mind as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone's allowed to change their mind. There's no shame in it at all. Mm-hmm. You can be really sure of something and then get some information and think, oh, I don't think that anymore. And then you must act from that place. Yeah. Otherwise, it's like stubborn beyond belief.
Yeah. I love that. In fact, there's, what was it? The Wedding Crashers. Obviously not known for its philosophy.
God, I can't
or profound kind of like quotes. But the dad of Rachel McAdams said, you can only make a decision based on the information that you have at the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. That just like came out of left field in this like rom-com. But I love that, and that's what it is, isn't it?
That's the formula for no regret.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like whether it's a breakup, leaving a job, going on holiday, whatever it is, you can only do what you thought was right at the time. Mm-hmm. And then excellent. Like heal from there if you feel like you don't make the right call.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to, obviously that was like a beautiful kind of blossoming excerpt that we got from you there. That was awesome. But I just want to like try and tap into like the struggle of Lucy. So before you found all how this kind of like grew for you and became like a real fulfilling way of living your life and earning your kind of crust. Yes. Like how were you feeling about yourself and your life when you were in the struggle and when you were before that kind of enlightenment or that decision of, okay, can I actually think myself back out of this?
Yeah, it felt like I was in it. Like it literally felt like I was in a trap.
Yeah.
It felt like there was these like horrible like tendrils around my ankles that would just influence me all the time. And what I found as well is it felt like a dull ache because I was unhappy, and I didn't feel tooled to help. I didn't feel like I didn't have the word to articulate how I was feeling as well. And against this kind of dull ache, I'd also have these awful like adrenaline highs of negativity, which I know sounds like a contradiction in terms, in that I find myself comparing myself to others. I'd be there for hours, and it was like the pain of it. It was so easy to put my phone down, but I just couldn't. And I didn't just stop there. You know, I'd mine people for information about certain people. It was almost like I had a number of triggers, i.e. individuals, that I would always have them under surveillance. Like I'd want to know what they were doing. It was really unhealthy. It was obsessive.
Right.
That's when I look back now, that's when I realised what hold it had on me, where it was just like I was in this fog all the time. And it would graduate a little bit here and there, but I was ultimately in a fog all the time. And what didn't help as well is that although like I was working in like a cool job, we weren't saving lives or anything. Like it's the communications industry. It's not like I was in A&E, and I get that completely. Yeah. I was working in a culture of fear ultimately, and I couldn't operate in that way. And I was forgetting who I was. So not only had I kind of outsourced my power and outsourced my own definition of what success was to the outside world, I felt powerless to act on even what they were. Yeah. Because in the environment I was working in, and just feeling like I had to wear a mask, which was getting heavier and heavier and heavier, it was just exhausting. And I knew that I had to get a plan out of there. I literally didn't know what to do. So it was this really uncomfortable liminal time as well, where I was just so fucking unhappy. And I couldn't be happy for anyone else either. Yeah. That's the difference. Like in life now, I'm like, yeah, good on you. Or I'm just neutral, like, yeah, cool. You know, I don't have any strong feelings either way, which is what it should be like.
Yeah, it's not my life. Yeah.
I'd find myself, it was just dominate everything for me. And I became really bitter and poisonous. You know, it's like those horrible, the parts of my personality which are still here now, because I don't think you get to pick and choose that stuff, really. Thankfully, other qualities now lead, other attributes of my personality lead. But to know that I had that kind of like bitchy, poisonous person inside that was leading for so long, it does make me shiver a little bit sometimes. It does make me cringe when I think back to it. And yet that's kind of a constant healing too, as in like, I would have done anything back then, I guess, to change, but it just felt safer to be stuck.
Yeah.
And I realised that getting out of that was just one, I'd say that's reduced it all down, but I realised ultimately it was making one brave choice at a time. So, for example, I've had people that have wanted to, you know, I know people that have pursued different careers, and they've quit on the Friday, like, got a credit card out on the Monday, and then started on the following Monday or whatever it was, and they've just kind of gone hell for leather at it, and that's worked for them, good on them. But my adrenals cannot handle that.
Yeah.
They just can't. So for me, it was realising that I just was at a mismatch in the previous career. I needed to leave. When was I going to leave? I think I'd leave around that time. Okay, that time's creeping up. I need to write my notice letter. Write the notice letter, hand it in, and then deal with what was going on there. Because I think sometimes when we're feeling such acute pain or we're hurting from something, it feels like it has to burn and destroy. Yeah. I have to split up with that person and do this on my own. Yeah. Or I have to stay in this relationship and say no to this. And it's like, it's an all or nothing mentality, isn't it? When actually that grey area, thank goodness I'm all right with grey, but that grey area gave me so much room actually to decide what I wanted to do. And something that helped as well is that once I had decided what I did want versus what I didn't want as well, that was enough for me. Yeah. So I didn't need it to put it on Facebook. I didn't need to tell my parents, didn't need to share with my friends. I just wasn't available for feedback on it, which in the wrong light sounds horrendously arrogant. But where this comes from a place that when I was kind of like starting to see like flashes of light out of this trap, which was just so very consuming, I read a book it's quite a cheesy title, to be honest. It's a great book. The book is called Wishes Fulfilled by a spiritual writer called Dr. Wayne Dyer, who's sadly no longer with us. But he wrote, and there's a lot in that book which really fed me in a different way. It was very nourishing in the way that I was so depleted. It was very nourishing and gave me what I needed at that time. But there's a paragraph or concept that stands out for me, Kerry, when he was saying, there's something important to you, whether it's you want to ask someone to marry you, you want to save for a trip, you're thinking about getting a dog, you want a divorce, whatever it is, there's something too important to you that you know you need to move on with or address. Build a temple for it in your heart and guard it. Don't tell anyone it's there. It's not available for feedback. It's not available. Not really interested in people's opinions. Let it grow. Let it incubate. Give it time. Give it space. Give it respect. And when and only when you feel solid in it, then you might think about talking about it with other people. But that was absolutely, like, I would say that's almost a non-negotiable of when you take responsibility for your own growth, which is a radical thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's very easy not to. It's very, very easy not to. When you take radical responsibility, though, and you're gentle with how that lands with you, it's those decisions as in, this is important to me, and it's because that'll protect all the energy around it. I won't talk about it at Sunday lunch. I'm not going to entertain conversations in WhatsApp. And if misconstrued, it can sound like it's like keeping secrets. It's not. It's just remaining silent.
Yeah.
And that's really important, because if something's important to you, it shouldn't be the gossip and fodder for other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's so easy to get tripped up, isn't it? Because you hear someone off the comment and you're like in the toilet wanting to cry, like, oh, I can't believe I said that. Oh.
Yeah.
You know, we need every bit of resolve we have to move on with things, especially when things feel so imperfect.
Yeah.
You know, it's, oh, I'm so aware of all that not going my way. I'm so aware of what I haven't got. It's like, well, what I do have is a bit of trust in this. What I do have is taking responsibility. And I'll just try and be like a dolphin spin through the water. If I work with what I've got, I trust and believe the other things will rearrange themselves. Or if they don't, I'll be stronger and clearer on how I can help rearrange them, you know, because it's so easy to be in control mode too.
Yeah, exactly. And that is so, like, that's so huge, I think, because I think especially people that are in this phase, you know, like they maybe have an idea or a notion of something that they might want to change. And as soon as they mention it to someone, maybe it's someone really close to them as well, and they get either shut down or like, you're stupid for thing like that, like who are you to think that that's possible, and they just get all this like barrage of negativity that they haven't obviously protected, that they haven't made their temple, Lucy.
Yes, exactly. And don't get hung up on the, like, if you want listening to this, don't get hung up on the language of temple. This is a non-religious thing. There's like, a temple's a special place.
Yeah.
Temple can be the clean part of your bookshelf that's got a picture of like your favourite person on it and a candle.
Yeah.
That's temple, you know, and that's how I look at it for me. But you're absolutely right. It's such a weird concept to think, like, oh, hold on, I don't have to talk about this with anyone.
Yeah.
It's like, no, nobody has to know. And that what's kind of cool around this, Kerry, too, is if life is imperfect or whatnot, it can make those victories feel really significant.
Mm-hmm.
If, for example, like, oh my God, you've changed your job. It's like, yeah. And you know you've been working on it for 6 months, but you've just decided to announce it. It's kind of cool because it makes these things land.
Yeah.
And people find out about it, like, oh, nice. It's like, yeah, this is a complete answer. Goodbye.
Yeah. With my poor parents, actually, I just land on them all the time. I suddenly just go, oh, so this has happened. And they're like, you never tell me anything. I was like, I hadn't consciously realised I was kind of making my own little temple.
Yeah.
But yeah, being not available for feedback. Protect what it is that is in your heart until you feel like at one with it, definitely.
Yeah, because I think feedback's not always helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It just isn't, especially from the wrong, I say wrong, but not the best source too. Yeah. I think some people just like to sound off, and I'm just not a bit like, I'm so important. I've worked too hard trying to feel strong and believing in myself enough that I don't need to borrow anyone else's to like open that up. That for me is like, imagine me being like a beast, like a beekeeper's suit. Mm-hmm. That's like me ripping a hole in my own suit to let someone else in. And it takes one bee and you're fucked.
Yeah.
Excuse my language.
Go for it.
That's it. And it's like, I'm just not available for feedback. People have got a lot of opinions, like, cool, write them down. I don't want to hear. If I ask for them, cool.
Yeah.
And I'll say out to them, my husband's a business owner too, and sometimes he'll give me some feedback, and I just have one word for him where I leave the door, and I say, unsolicited.
Oh, I love that.
And that's it. And he's like, that doesn't always go down well. That's fine, but I don't appreciate you coming to my space with that, so I'm just going to push you right back out of it.
Yeah. And you have that
you
power.
Know?
People don't really, they forget that they have that power to say, I'm choosing not to let you impact what's going on here. Yeah. It's a choice.
Unsolicited. Because then he's like, oh God, here I go. You know, and he knows what he's doing as well. And it's just, I'm not available for it.
Yeah.
Well-meaning or not. Like, watch your tone, mate.
I might change that to the name of this blog post, just Unsolicited by Lucy Sheridan.
Exactly. Oh my God, it's a perfume. Unsolicited.
You heard it first here.
It smells of nothing. There's nothing there.
It was a vague little tinge of elderflower.
Quite.
Amazing. Cool. Okay, so I guess just to try and wrap this up, even though I really don't want to, but I'm just bearing in mind that it's kind of
Still part 2.
yeah, still part 2. Like, what would you say to someone who is like maybe listening and is like drowning in the comparison? They feel in the depths of despair with it. Maybe they are fully dressed under their quilt, kind of scrolling Instagram, going, "I can't even stop. How do I even stop?"
Yeah.
Like, where can they start?
I would say that is a great question, because it's where can you start? I don't believe this, like, what's the solution? What can I buy? What's the pill to take? There's a few elements to this, and I'll share them quick fire, because these are ultimately the essentials. You have to decide you don't want to compare anymore. Because it's easy, it's familiar. Like, jealousy is a familiar emotion for a lot of us. Living there, even though it's uncomfortable, it's like, yeah, it's hot, but it's not so hot. I can't. Well, I just go from one foot to the other. You know, it's like you have to decide you don't want to be occupied by anymore. That is 60% of living comparison free. I truly believe that. The second one is to kind of allow yourself and invite yourself to gain the insight that your comparison wants to show you. So it's always trying to send us a message. Always, always. So if I'm comparing myself to this relationship, what does it say about my unmet needs? And then the question is, how do I meet those needs first? And then how can I communicate to my partner that I might, that we could meet in the middle in a different way? There's always insight there that we can act on and move out, and not only move out of comparison, but move on with our lives too. And then the third one, which is a bit of a reminder really, but a necessary reality check. Every single person is someone else's comparison trigger. Even if you're so imperfect that, like, you move your head and it's just like dry shampoo, a go-go. Like, it's like a cloud of chalk. Not a rare occurrence in the Sheridan household, I'm not too ashamed to say. No matter where you are in your life, there'll be someone that maybe from like a youth group you're in when you were younger that will have tracks on you, and they'll be comparing themselves to you. Or it might be someone from the accounts department at work that just thinks that you're kind of like really nippy in some way. It kind of like you're really great at part of your job, and that compares. There will be a way that you are someone's comparison trigger. So be kind with yourself and be kind with others, because we're all still working this out. But once you've kind of got your insight from your comparison, start working on it, as we've kind of said, in secret, silently, and you will cut off the oxygen to comparison. It simply cannot get a hold when you are being who you're supposed to be and doing what you're supposed to do.
Yes. Oh my God, what a lot of bomb to just drop that on. That's like, boom. I hope everyone just like sat with that and let it like marinate, because that was epic. Oh my God, that's just amazing. Thank you so much. Like, how can people reach you, Lucy, find out about you, get in touch with you?
Well, I suppose the irony is, and I know we talk about social media, but the gram is probably the best place. I'm dishing out only like comparison busting advice really every day, and on stories too. So I'd invite you to kind of join that community over on Instagram, and I'm at Lucy Sheridan over there. I'd say that's pretty much where I live on the internet ultimately.
Amazing. Oh my God, what an absolute honour to have you, my dear.
Oh, thank you for
so
having
much.
me. Truly, the honour's all mine, and thank you for such great questions that really kind of got me thinking. I really appreciate it.
Good.
For the opportunity.
I'll be Michael Parkinson yet.
Yes.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Have an awesome week, and thanks everyone for listening.
See you soon, darling. See ya.
Bye. And I'm going to have a little wet my whistle because I've got a frog in my throat.
Yeah, that's okay.
Right, okay. So, okay. Ready, steady, go. Oh.
Kidding me. I'm going to have to put her out. Sorry, Kevin.
You carry on.
Oh, thank you. Thankfully, my cousin's here. Right,
Oh,
all right,
that was
darling.
amazing timing. That was. I literally went, and the bark came out my mouth.
It's funny, isn't it?
Oh,
But,
okay.
well, we're unflappable babes, though.
Yes,
as I did say. We're
unflappable.
unflappable babes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool.